Good morning, motivation team. How y'all doing this morning? If you haven't done so already, thank the Lord that you woke up this morning. Then go tell your family you love them, go tell them good morning, and invite them in on the video. Today is going to be a long video. I'm finna go ahead and get through with Matthew. Yes, we finna go ahead and get through with Matthew today, and tomorrow we're going to get into Mark. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. Hold on, let's go ahead and get the verse of the day rolling. Today we got 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 13 and 14. And I'm reading this out of the Message Bible on the Bible app. No test or temptation that comes your way is beyond the course of what others have had to face. All you need is to remember is that God will never let you down. He'll never let you be pushed past your limit. He'll always be there to help you come through it. So my very dear friends, when you see people reducing God to something they can use or control, get out of their company as fast as you can. Hey, I don't think I got to explain that one. That one was pretty straightforward. I ain't going to lie. So let's go ahead and get straight into the book. All right, chapter 27. Let's go. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor. The Sanhedrin gave Jesus over to Pilate, the Roman governor over Judea, because they didn't have the authority to put Jesus to death. Pilate was a cruel man and sensitive towards other people's feelings. They thought Pilate was gonna handle Jesus. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. I have sinned, he said, for I have betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? They replied. That's your responsibility. So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. The chief priest picked up the coin and said, "It is against the law to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money." So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for the foreigners. That is why it has been called the field of blood to this day. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel, and they used them to buy the potter's field as the Lord commanded me. So Judas was filled with remorse. Judas was filled with remorse, not repentance. Even though he knew what he did was a sin, he felt worse for the outcome of that sin. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. So, no defense, no miracle to save his own life. He gave the same reply he gave to the high priest. Pilate couldn't believe how beaten and bloody Jesus was, that he still would be quiet about the accusations. When we rise to our own defense, we will usually be better off to keep quiet and let God defend us. Now, it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a well-known prisoner named Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you? Barabbas or Jesus, who was called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him a message. "Don't have anything to do with the innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. Pilate saw through the religious leaders. He saw that they were envy. Pilate had all the evidence that he needed to do what was right. He saw the strength in Jesus, and he knew he wasn't a criminal. He knew that it wasn't charge that got Jesus in that position. It was the envy of the religious leaders. He saw Jesus at peace with his God, that he didn't need to answer a single accusation. He had declared that Jesus was innocent. Our source gave us Luke 23:4. In Luke 23:4, it says, "Then Pilate announced to the chief priests and the crowd, 'I find no basis for a charge against this man.'" Whatever dream his wife had, She said she suffered a whole lot just from a dream. It was God's merciful message to Pilate that he rejected. So the religious leaders, they knew how to influence Pilate into getting Jesus executed. And it wasn't through his wife. It wasn't through them. It was through the crowd. Pilate knows the right thing to do because of so many convincing ways, but he would do the wrong thing because of a crowd. And y'all gotta watch them people. It's a lot of them type of people in the world too. It's people that will crash out in front of a crowd. Say the wrong thing to somebody in the club and everybody here, they crashing out. Which of the two do you want me to release to you? Asked the governor. Barabbas, they answered. What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Messiah? Pilate asked. They all answered, crucify him. Why? What crime has he committed? Asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, crucify him. They chose a false son of the Father than the true son of the Father. Barabbas will be what we know today as Antichrist. That's what Barabbas will be. Barabbas will be set free while he was a whole terrorist, murderer, while Jesus is getting crucified. They don't know what they doing. The crowd don't know what they doing. Pilate, he know the right thing to do, but the crowd, he trying to get in the crowd what they want to see. When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood, he said. It is your responsibility. All the people answered, his blood is on us and on our children. They had no understanding of what they were asking for. They didn't understand how wonderful it would be to have Jesus' blood on us and on our children. Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. Jesus remained quiet, having no crimes to confess. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put him in a scarlet robe and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand, then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. Hail, King of the Jews, they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. Kings wear crowns, but not crowns of torture. This crown had hard, long, sharp thorns, and it cut and it pierced the head, making the head bleed when it was worn. When a prisoner is crucified, they are usually nailed to the cross naked, just to increase their humiliation. Jesus' humiliation hasn't started yet, but he was stripped. The scarlet robe was intended for cruel irony. The staff in his right hand was weak and thin. They mocked him by bowing down, worshiping, saying, Hail, King of the Jews. They went from mockery to cruelty. They took the reed, they took off the robe, and began to spit and hit on Jesus. As Jesus was led to be crucified, he had to carry the wood he would hang on. Yeah, he had to carry the cross. I think it said his hands were tied to the cross, and he had to carry it. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, where they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall. But after tasting it, he refused to drink it. So at this place of skulls where they gave Jesus a drink, that drink is for them to, the person that's getting crucified, if they drink it, they become numb, they won't feel nothing, their awareness go down. Jesus was like, I'm not finna drink that. He ain't drinking, so he finna go through this whole thing completely sober, feeling everything. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God. In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. He saved others, but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, I am the Son of God. In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. Why are these two people on his left and right got something to say? From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all of the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to say, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing there heard this, they said, he's calling Elijah. Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on the staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him. One of the first things we know about Jesus is that he was misunderstood. When Joseph and Mary had left him in Jerusalem, they didn't understand that he had to be about his father's business. Jesus knew what it was to have his motives misunderstood. He healed people, and people said he did it by the devil. He reached out to sinners. People called him a drunken pig. Even the followers of Jesus sometimes have their words misunderstood. Herod had misunderstood the silence of Jesus and saw it as a weakness and powerlessness. So, nobody took Jesus' life from him. Jesus gave up his spirit. He gave it up. Let nobody take it from him. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs were broken. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, surely he was the Son of God. Many women were there watching from a distance, had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. Oh, so the curtains, I believe when I said the curtains, it's talking about the veil. So the veil is what separated the holy place from the most holy place in the temple. A vivid demonstration of the separation between God and man. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance to the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. The door of this tomb, it was made in a circular shape, and it was heavy. It was a stone. It was a big stone made in a circular tomb. So only a few strong men could open it up. And it was made this way so nobody could disturb the remains that was inside of this tomb. The next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. Sir, they said, we remember that while he was still alive, that deceiver said, after 3 days I will rise again. So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may come to steal the body and tell people that he has been raised from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first. Take a guard, Pilate answered. Go make the tomb as secure as you know how. So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting the guard. All right, we're in chapter 28. After the Sabbath at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and going into the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who has been crucified. He is not here. He has risen just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. So the Roman soldiers that were responsible for securing the tomb, they done passed out. They done seen these angels. They started shaking and they done passed out. Then go quickly and tell his disciples he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you. So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to see his disciples. So the angels, they commanded the women to be the first messengers to the disciples to let them know to go meet Jesus in Galilee. Suddenly Jesus met them. Greetings, he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me. Jesus cool. All he had to say was greetings. Like, he like, what's up? I told y'all I'll be back. What's up with it? So, an hour ago, these women thought Jesus was gone. They thought everything was over with. Not until they seen him. When they seen him, they knew everything would be okay. This is the first time that the Lord had called his disciples brothers. I'm pretty sure that they didn't think that the Lord would want to approach them knowing what they had pulled off in Gethsemane. But he did. He still wanted to see him. He loved them. So while the women were on their way, some of the guards went into the city and reported to the chief priests everything that had happened. When the chief priests had met with the elders and devised a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money, telling them, you are to say his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep. If this report gets to the governor, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble. So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day. So now they're trying to cover up the darkness of their actions. They knew the truth about the resurrection, but they rejected it. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of age. Since Jesus had promised, he said, I am with you always. Not only are we working for him, but we are working with him. His presence means protection because we are never out of his sight or supervision. And his presence also means power because we all fulfill his great command and we work in his name. Amen. Now, if y'all enjoyed this video, I know this video long. I hope y'all stayed into it. I tried to keep the energy up so that y'all can stay into it. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. If y'all watched to the end, thank you. With all that being said, y'all have a good day. Have a good, blessed day. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. I'm late for work. I'm already knowing. But it's cool, though. I got to edit this video. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.